so glad to see you. It's Saturday. I haven't seen you in a couple weeks. And am I glad to see you? You know, today is a good day. I don't have anything on my plans, and I thought I would try to do string art. Have you guys seen this? You draw a picture, and then you get a piece of yarn, and you dip it into the yarn and get it nice and all the colors on it. And you can get 2 or 3 colors like this. And then when you get it nice and soaked, with that, you put the string
Okay, I'm ready.
on.
I'm ready.
Wait.
I'm ready, Pastor Colleen.
Wait, I'm doing my string art, Freddie. This is my day that is all quiet and we didn't have anything planned.
No,
How are
we
you
had to-
this morning?
I'm okay. I'm excited.
I know, this is kind of exciting too. I've seen this and and then you hold it.
This isn't very that exciting.
And yeah, because you can hold it and look, it's really it goes shh. Oh, that didn't work. I think my string is
No,
too
but
long.
wait, but what we're gonna do is more exciting.
Wait, we're not doing nothing.
Yeah, we
Today-
made plans.
Today is Saturday.
Saturday, the day of the plan.
Today is just relax,
And you said if I got straight A's on my school.
yeah, we just got back and you've been doing your homeschooling.
Yeah.
And
And I got straight A's.
You
And
have?
you said if I did that you would buy me a buffalo and we would ride it together to Disneyland. And we would go to Disneyland with the buffalo.
wait a minute. Freddie, you know I was just teasing you. I mean, really, I was just playing. Remember we were just laughing and playing that day and
What? We're not even gonna take the hippo to the moon?
wait, those were also, I mean, who takes a hippo to the moon?
Well, I don't know, but it sounded pretty cool.
We can't do that. Those were I was kind of just tricking, just playing around. It wasn't real. So I thought I would do this, Freddie. Oh,
I thought we were gonna have the buffalo in Disneyland and then the hippo at the moon.
oh my goodness. Freddie, you know what?
What?
Haven't you ever heard the story of the little girls who cried giraffe?
What? I never heard this before.
Yeah. You haven't ever heard of the little girls that cried giraffe?
No.
Well,
Can you tell me?
I can't. You see, long time ago, there once was a mom, and she was watching TV one day. Girls, check out the news!
I love the news. All kids love the news.
We interrupt your special broadcast today. This is Sally Mander, and I have a special report that just came in. It came from the zoo, the Sacramento area. We have a watch out for, apparently the giraffes have left the zoo. The giraffes have left the zoo. We have Randy on the site right now. Let's go to Randy. Randy?
Hi, this is Rand Diesel. I'm at the zoo. You can tell that because I'm here and the zoo is here.
Randy, thank you. That was so informative. So you're at the zoo, is that correct?
Yes.
And I understand from our report that the giraffes are gone. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the giraffes are missing from location, and I understand that the zoo now has a reward.
Yes.
What is the reward?
Money.
That's right, you heard it first on Action News. Reward $100,000 for the return of the giraffe. Thank you, Brandy, that was so informative. Randy, I wish you would actually put some life into it every once in a
Thank
while. You gotta every once. Oh, it's still.
Can you imagine what we could do with $100,000? Oh,
Like go to Disneyland?
we love Disneyland.
Yeah.
Yes, for you and Dad and our cousins and aunts and uncles, we can all go. That sounds like a great idea, but I'm gonna go do dishes.
Jazzy, look what I found. Let's trick Mom. Okay, let's do it. Mom, come here, we found the missing giraffe!
What? No way! I can't believe you found the giraffe. Hold on, I gotta call your dad. Yeah, they found the giraffes. Yes, they did. No, yes, right here. They found it.
Mom.
You didn't. Don't do that again.
Okay.
Hey,
Okay.
looking. Promise.
So hard being Mom. You don't walk like that. You're like. Mom, again. Yeah. Hey, Mom! We found a giraffe! Yeah!
I don't know. I don't believe you.
We promised! We
You
promised!
really found it?
Yes!
You
Yeah.
didn't. You promised.
You
Promised me you wouldn't do it.
Yes, we did!
I'm gonna go back and finish the dishes.
Okay! The giraffes are here! The giraffes are here! The real giraffes! Come here! The giraffes are
No,
here!
I don't believe you this time. I'm not falling for it
I'm for
again.
real! Come here! We promise! Come on! We promise!
No.
We promise!
Not
We
falling for it.
Mom, we promise! We promise! The giraffe is actually here!
No, I don't believe. I'm not gonna believe you this time. You told way too many stories.
Look
No.
behind you! Look
Come
behind
on.
you! Look!
How is there giraffes?
Look!
How
Look
is
behind you!
What are you talking about?
Look behind you!
No, I'm not.
Look!
No, no.
Now! Look! It's
no,
the other!
You promised you wouldn't do this again. No.
And Freddie, that's the story of the little girls who cried giraffe.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever heard that story before?
It kind of sounds like another story that I've heard about a boy and a wolf.
Yeah. Well, you know,
I think you just kind of changed the story a little
do
bit.
you think I did? Oh, Freddie, I gotta tell you. You know what? People sometimes we are trying to be silly. The girls were trying to be silly and just
I
fun.
don't quite think that was the point of the story, though.
You don't?
No.
What do you think the point was?
I think that you're not supposed to make promises that you don't want to keep.
Hmm.
Like riding a buffalo to Disneyland.
Maybe you're right.
Maybe like riding the hippo
Maybe
to the
we
moon.
shouldn't make promises that we don't keep.
Yeah, because I was pretty disappointed.
You know, people make promises that they don't keep. But you know who always keeps their promise?
Who?
God.
Oh, I think I knew that.
And you know, okay, I told you a kind of silly story, but there's a really great Bible story that talks about God keeping his promise
Ooh, I love Bible stories.
to a man named Abraham.
Ooh.
Let's watch it.
Okay.
God's story, God's promise to Abraham. So part of God's story is about a promise God made to Abraham, and it begins like this. Once there was a guy named Abraham. He had a wife, Sarah. They didn't think they could have any kids, which was a major disappointment because they really wanted a family. But little did Abraham know that God had a very special plan for him. When Abraham was 75 years old, God promised to give him kids, and one day God would send the rescuer through his family. All God asked was that Abraham and Sarah leave their home first and follow him. Now, they had a tough choice to make. Leave all their friends and trust God, or stay comfortable. This was not easy. See, Abraham really wanted kids, but was already pretty old. Sarah was getting up there too. Not to mention, she had never been able to get pregnant. So if Abraham and Sarah were going to leave their home and trust in God's promise, they had to believe that God would do something that seemed impossible. The good news is, they decided to trust that God would keep his promise. That's always the right choice. So Abraham and Sarah moved from their home to a land called Canaan. Right away, God reminded Abraham of his promise. He said, "I will make your children like the dust of the earth. Can specks of dust be counted? If they can, then your children can be counted." This was God's funny way of telling Abraham he would have a lot of kids, because nobody can count every piece of dust. Well, this promise seemed great, but after a while, Abraham and Sarah still had no kids, let alone as many as the pieces of dust. Now, they were really old. Sometimes God doesn't remind us of his promises because he wants us to learn to trust him. But God took Abraham outside at night and told him to look at the stars. He reminded Abraham that he would give him that many kids. So Abraham decided to keep believing God. He and Sarah waited again. After more years, he got impatient. This time, God told Abraham, by next year, Sarah will have a son. But by now, Abraham was 99 years old. He and Sarah had both given up on having kids and God's promise. In fact, when Abraham told Sarah what God said, she laughed. It's probably not a good idea to laugh at God's promises, but Sarah was tired of waiting and had stopped trusting. The great thing is, even if we think it's impossible, God really does keep his promises. And just like God promised, Sarah got pregnant the next year after Abraham's 100th birthday. When her son was born, she named him Isaac, which means laughter. Sarah said, "God has given laughter to me. Everybody who hears about this will laugh with me." And think about it. A really old lady having a baby is pretty funny. God kept his promise to give Abraham and Sarah a son. Even though they didn't think it was possible, it was easy for God because he can do anything, including giving old people babies. And remember how God was going to give Abraham as many children as the stars in the sky? Well, Isaac grew up and had children who had more children who had more children. This kept going and going and going. And guess who eventually was born in Abraham's line? The rescuer himself, God's son, Jesus. All because Abraham followed God and trusted God to keep his promise. And that's the story of God's promise to Abraham. So in case you missed it, here's the quick version. Abraham and Sarah were old. God promised to give Abraham kids. Abraham and Sarah waited. They got impatient. God reminded them he keeps his promises. Abraham and Sarah waited more. They got impatient again. God told them Sarah would have a baby. Sarah laughed. She had a baby. Jesus was eventually born into their family. God always keeps his promises. And that's a part of God's story.
Whoa, another great Bible story.
I love the Bible story.
I love it too. And man, you know, God can be trusted, huh?
Yeah, always.
Always. He doesn't lie.
Mm-mm.
He doesn't, you know, people, they make promises or kind of silly jokes, maybe that aren't funny.
Oh, but I didn't know it was a joke.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, I forgive you.
I'm sorry. It was, maybe I'll clean this up and we can do something else.
Okay.
But I want to remind you, Freddie, and I want to remind the boys and girls that God keeps all his promises and we can trust him. Matter of fact, it reminds me of our Bible verse today. It says this, "For God can be trusted to keep his promises." But can you say it?
For God can be trusted to keep his promises.
Let's say it together. For God can be trusted to keep his promises. That's Hebrews 10:23.
23.
23.
Hebrews 10:23.
Yeah. And God can be, because we can trust God. He keeps his promises. You know why? Because he's perfect.
Yeah.
And because he's perfect. People aren't perfect, and we sometimes don't keep our promises. And I didn't keep my promise of what?
To buy me a buffalo and then ride it together to Disneyland.
All right, we are, yeah. Knock on wood.
I don't think that would.
It's not. We're good.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. We're going to Disney.